The employee information screen is an integral part of SoftTime Online, and it can be found by selecting any employee's name and choosing the employee information option beneath their employee drop-down list. The employee information screen contains their basic information such as first name, last name, birth date, hire date, but it also contains much more configurable information such as their startup setting or their shift information, recording mode, as well as very definitive login types. Something to consider is that much of this information is added when you added the new employee to start with, which can be done by clicking the Add Employee button or perhaps importing the information from a CSV or Excel spreadsheet. The fields on the employee information screen can be restricted by certain users, supervisor roles. I can, for example, allow full read-write access as an administrator to the Social Security number for an employee, or perhaps I could make this individual field read-only, or maybe even restrict it altogether where they can't even see it, can't edit it, and that would be field level security. Social Security number, birth date, couple clicks of the button. This information does show up on the employee's calendar. Hire date, very pertinent to accruals. If you're on an anniversary recording year type, there are accrual rules, and perhaps their yearly allowances would pertain to their hire date directly. So therefore, all the reporting options for this individual would be pertinent to their hire date. Termination dates. If I terminate an employee, they become inactive, I can put a termination date in here. At that time, the software recognizes that fact and basically opens up a new slot for a new hire. Gender information. The compensation amount here can affect your labor cost efficiency reading on your supervisor dashboard, for example. It's also useful in your employee profile reports. This employee's supervisors are also listed here. That means that when Kenny Hammond submits a leave request, Michael Knoxville, McMillan, and Jack Nugent will all receive that request and have the potential to approve or deny it. These supervisors also have the capability to mark absences for Kenny, or even make adjustments to his allowances. You can also set the employee's recording mode here. Recording mode days versus recording mode hours. Days recording mode is a little simpler form of logic. Full days, half days, quarter days, three-quarter days. All the logic of the software is in days, in a recording mode of days, which means the reports, the FYI balances, all reflect days. Hours mode, on the other hand, is a little more robust. Basically, I can break a day down into any increment necessary. 3/4 of an hour, half hour, 45 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, into multiple category leaves, literally down by the minute. Particularly pertinent to a recording mode of hours would be the employee shift information. Shift information is easy to input. Enter in the typical amount of hours that an employee might work. And of course, this information can be broken down into increments to allow things like lunchtime or break time. The pertinence of shift in hours mode is when I mark a full day on a calendar, the software needs to know how many hours that is. If I'm taking one day of vacation, how many hours of vacation is that? In the case listed here, I'm working an 8-hour day. So when I go to mark an absence on the calendar here for Kenny Hammond, one vacation day essentially equals 8 hours. And to the far right of the employee information screen, you basically have the employee security section where first thing you'll notice is you can upload the employee's photo. This makes the employee easier to identify and helps minimize discrepancies. And importantly, you have the employee's login information. This is where you can delegate an employee's level of access. Different levels of access can be offered to any employee that you see fit. Simply choose an employee, go to their employee information, and delegate their level of access with their own username and password. Levels of access include employee level, where an employee can log in, see their own information in a read-only format. They can't change anything, but they can see their calendar. They can see how many sick days they've had last week, last month, last year. They can see company-wide holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, 1st of the year, 4th of July. They can view their balances. How many vacation days have I taken? How many do I have left for the year? And employees can submit email automated leave requests to their supervisor for desired time off. Other important login types include supervisor login. You'll notice when someone is designated as a supervisor, additional tabs appear on their employee information screen. Delegating a supervisor will add an additional Employees tab as well as a Departments tab. The Departments tab allows you to delegate what departments an employee is supervising. And each department can potentially have its own supervisor role. I can create a role beneath each department, and the number of different departments is unlimited. These department-level supervisor options become available all with a single login. So in this case, when Kenny Hammond logs in, this is what he's able to do and see. There are literally hundreds of different supervisor role options to choose from. To learn more about supervisor roles, visit the Admin tab, Supervisor Roles. Once you've delegated your department supervisor roles, you can click on the Employees tab and see a list of all the employees that you're currently supervising. This very specific level of security potentially allows me to pick and choose precisely which employees I'm a supervisor over and which I'm not. And I can intermatch and intermingle between departments if necessary to choose very individually and specifically what I'm supervising, who I'm supervising, and at what level, or with what options are available for me to exercise as a supervisor. And it's this level of detail that literally leads to endless possibilities in terms of combinations and supervisor roles and activities. So we've looked at employee level login and we've looked at supervisor level login. Super administrator login is one of the most important logins available. Not only does it allow all the dynamics of the supervisor, but it also includes a level necessary to make major global configuration changes typically used for setup. For example, as a super administrator, I can access super administrator options. These affect global configurations such as company logos, company headers, report titles, year of service adjustments, and more. As a super administrator, I can affect user-defined icons. I can change pictures on buttons and rename categories. I can affect startup settings. How much time do my employees earn in any given recording year? And of course, as a super administrator, I can create a startup setting and then later apply it to an employee directly from their employee information screen. I can affect company-wide holidays. There always has to be at least one super administrator to the software, although there is no limit to the number of super administrators that you can have in the software. Entering in an employee's email information allows them to receive notifications when a supervisor approves or denies one of their leave requests. It can also allow them to be included on reports generated by their administrator from within the software. So basically, their supervisor can email them reports. For example, an employee details report. Or perhaps an employee profile report. These are the benefits of the email address. Usernames and passwords can be set and reset here. And each employee can also have their own individual notes. Notice notes throughout the software are fully HTML5 compatible, so that means that they can be edited, hyperlinked, with font and color effects. The employee information screen in SoftTime is very easy to maintain and manage. Every change made on an employee information screen is recorded and reportable. And the more information entered in here, the more powerful the effects of the software become, and the easier your job becomes. All in all, it's easy to enter information into the employee information screen, and the benefits of this information make your reports more accurate and your job that much easier. Now, wasn't that easy?